Welcome back to All Things Considered, the podcast that gives you all things, all sports, all year round. I'm your host, Al Scott. With me today, two former track league stars turned Fresno State transfers. They're back in the Valley. JP Acosta, former Buchanan Bear, Fresno City Ram, and Jayden Hertel, Clovis North Bronco, turned UNLV Rebel back to Fresno State. Thank you for joining us, JP and Jayden.
Thanks
Yep,
for
thank
having
you.
us.
First things first, you're back in Fresno, JP. You tell me you miss your mom's home cooked meals.
Yeah.
What else brought you back to the Valley?
Oh yeah. Well, having a big family like I have, I'm missing out on a lot of important things. Definitely drove me to come back home, and also just having the opportunity to play under a great coaching staff, a great program, and just the culture that Fresno State brings. With football and all the athletics that they have, even baseball. Just coming into something as big as that. I mean, it's really hard to pass up.
The same thing for you, Jayden. You have an extra year of eligibility, but what was that? That thought process going through your mind when it came time that the opportunity to come to Fresno State came about?
Yeah, so it was pretty much the same. I mean, you get the opportunity to come back, play in front of your friends, family, everybody you played with, played against your whole life growing up. So, I mean, it's being able to come back and play for the hometown crowd again just sounded amazing with me.
You had a chance to play against Fresno State about a month or two ago. You guys put a whooping on Fresno State, but you had a lot of friends and family in the stands. Did it ever cross your mind that you might end up going on to the other side of that dugout?
It was definitely in the back of my head for sure. Um, like I said, I don't know. We didn't know like exactly at the time what was gonna happen if I was gonna transfer or not. And then once I entered the portal, it was an easy process. The OV made it really easy, and once I came and took the visit and everything, I mean it was a done deal from there.
You guys are both traditionally infielders now. Jaden, you played a lot all over the field last year. You're going to a team that had a lot of infielders, a lot of young infielders, Brady Hewitt, Mikey Boyd, guys that play a lot during the field, as well as Mikey Pickett. You guys, you're sort of the outsiders coming in, even though you're upperclassmen. Did that conversation with Ovi ever come up about, you might be asked to play, you know, you might have to compete for this position, or you might have to be playing somewhere else? Did that conversation come up at all?
I know personally for me, I think just being an older guy and kind of playing for a little bit in college, I think Ovi really wants me to come in and, just try to help out, wherever I can, and kind of just help put my best foot forward, and try to, hopefully one day I become a leader. First leading by example and helping some guys out. But I mean, wherever Ovi decides to throw me out there, even if it's like in the outfield or behind the dish, never played there before, but whatever I can do to help the team win. Honestly, I think that's what best suits me.
Same for you, Jay.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same thing as him. I mean, I was an infielder all growing up. I've still been taking ground balls and stuff, but last year at UNLV, I was spent most of the time in the outfield. So pretty much wherever he wants to put me, whatever's got the best shot to win a baseball game. So
Did you like that utility role? I mean, I think that
yeah,
you'd probably rather play, one singular position, but there's also a lot of value to being that, that
yeah.
Ben Zobrist
I mean,
type. If
it's playing
I
one
don't know if that
position, you
name's
get
too old
you
for you,
can
but
get comfortable, So you get
that guy
comfortable
that can play
here,
all
or
over
when
and
I was
fill
at
those different
UNLV, it was
roles.
kind of a bunch of different spots, which I liked. You were able to play all over the place.
Uh, JP, I'll ask you this: um, the opportunity to come to Fresno State after a year where, they really struggled last year, the opportunity to sort of be that team that turns things around. What does that do for you as like mentality wise? Like, does that do something for you in terms of, I have a chance to help, you know, get us back on track?
Yeah, that's I think that's definitely a little bit part of it for sure. But I think just opportunity to just meet some new guys, and obviously, I played with a lot of guys over there, and I just think the opportunity to kind of get brought into the Fresno State family and just have that part of culture. I think that's the biggest thing, and I think once we all get acquainted and we all get on the same page, and we're all pulling on the same end of the rope, I think that's what's going to lead us to winning some more games. And I think seeing how what last year went, for sure, I think it's going to drive me to want to, not only push myself, but push some guys around us for sure.
There's a lot of guys from the track that stayed home and played at Fresno State. Have any of them reached out to you since you made that decision and were like, "Hey, we're excited to have you on board"?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of guys from the track. I know we played, and me and JP, we played in the track, so a bunch of guys, that we grew up playing with, and everybody like you're friends with them from, some of them you play with them in Little League. So it's like once I committed, couple of the guys reached out, and they're all pumped up about it because now you're able to come back home and you're able to all play together again.
Anyone in particular?
Tyler Patrick, Munster, I mean, a lot of them. So I've played with Tyler since Little League, so we've been close since then. So he was pretty hyped about it.
I know I asked JP this, but Jayden, what are you most excited about coming back home?
I would say, just the hometown crowd. You're able to play in front of a bunch of people that everybody, all your supporters are here in Fresno. So like at UNLV, you're playing. I mean, my family only got to come out to maybe 2 or 3 series. Now you're gonna be able to go and you're playing in front of everybody who supports you, and they're able to come watch. So I think that's what's gonna be the best part is being able to be around everybody still, even teammates. I mean, you grew up with all of them, so it's gonna be fun.
You guys are going in, being a part of the new Pac-12. It's not exactly 12 teams, but the teams that are in this new conference, there's quite a few baseball teams, including Oregon State, which is a contender to win the national championship pretty much every year. Gonzaga and Dallas Baptist have good, solid programs as well. San Diego State had a great year under a first-year head coach. Um, you know, there's a lot of elite talent in the Pac-12, and you guys have a chance to, showcase what you guys have. Are you excited about the challenges that come with that?
Yeah, for sure. I think our first year being a Bulldog is huge. Just being able to help lay the foundation in the new conference. I think that's going to be something huge. And going into this, I think we're gonna have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. Just I think some people might kind of overlook us in the conference, and I think we're looking to turn that around and be the top dogs.
Same for you,
Yeah,
Jaden.
yeah. I was gonna say. I mean, you worded that perfectly. Going to a new conference, probably I would say a more competitive conference, as you were saying, is Oregon State's always up there. Gonzaga, who I think just won their conference. I can't remember. But
I
I mean,
believe
you're
so.
going against a good competitive conference, which only makes you better, as a team. Like he said, they're going to look at like last year's record. It's going to be a whole different team. So, just playing with that chip on your shoulder and going out there and competing every day, because you come out on top of this conference, then it's one of the better conferences out there.
Yeah, you got a trip to, not necessarily an easy trip, but you might have a spot at a regional host
Yeah, you'll have a
down the
shot
line.
at it.
But yeah, going back to high school, you guys sort of overlapped there a couple of years. Do you have any fun memories from high school playing against each other? And if not playing against each other, just memories from your time at North and Buchanan that you reminisce on.
Um, I mean, I always think like coming like I go out and hit with my dad and stuff at Clovis North, so I'm always there around there, and it's like it's crazy how fast it went by. I'll tell you that. Feels like some days you're still there when you're going out there. So it's I mean time flies. So that 4 years went by quick.
Yeah, for sure. I know for me, watching Hurdle come in as a freshman and playing up there. I think it was just great to see him and see how he progressed and how he constantly got better every single year. And just seeing the year that he had UNLV, I think it kind of took me back a little bit, kind of seeing him and playing against him all those years and how competitive he was, and just all those guys that are at Fresno State right now, and me and Hertel having to play against them. That was a very very competitive conference, and I think that's something that me and Jayden are both looking for, is kind of like having those conversations about those series that we had, and kind of like just clicking on that, and just being able to build off those moments that we used to have, and making more.
I still remember Jaden's freshman year. He came in and it was like first pitch fastball, second pitch fastball, third pitch slider in the dirt, and every single hitter fell for it. And I was like, it's so predictable, and yet they keep falling for it every time because that slider, you can't see it. You don't see it coming. And yet it worked. And now he's just a hitter. But if it ever gets into a deep game and Ovi needs a guy,
Let's
call
go.
call on
Get him
Jayden
on
Hertel.
there. Get him on
You're
there.
right.
Fun fact: Aaron Judge wanted to pitch at Fresno State, and not Overland, but Batesville would not let him.
Really?
But you never know.
Yeah.
Um, times are changing. Um, Fast forward to college. Jayden, you ended up playing at UNLV the last 2 years. You mainly came off the bench your freshman year. And then this last year, you served in a utility role, but you're on a team in a lineup full of upperclassmen, and you were, one of the only sophomores in that lineup. Can you talk about what it was like, playing for UNLV and, sort of being one of those younger guys?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of like high school, JP knows getting to college, you're the young guy now, so nobody really cares about what you did in high school. You got to earn it all again. Um, I was thankful to be one of the younger guys on a bunch of with a team that had a bunch of upper class guys, because it was, I mean, you could learn from them. They played in college baseball for 4 or 5 years now. So coming in as a freshman, it's your first year. You're going against the better competition, older guys, and I think it was just good for me to be able to grow off of them, like with them helping me and all that.
And then JP, you went to Fresno City for 2 years and were a superstar with the Rams. And then you made the decision to go, 2/3 away across the country to play at Western Kentucky. That's a far ways away.
Yeah, it is far ways away. Yeah, made that decision to just go out there, and I kind of just want to had an opportunity to be on my own, and just kind of learn more about the game, and also learn a little bit more about myself. I think that was a great part about going out there and having that opportunity and being able to play every single day. It's really hard to beat, in a program that had very well success last year, um, and so yeah, I think it was kind of a no brainer for me to go out there, and I think it was just God's plan for me to go out there and eventually make my way back home.
Was there anything specifically that you learned throughout that process? Maybe
Yeah,
maybe it wasn't even on the field.
I think I learned patience for sure. Just not being able to have control over everything. Not being, at City. I'm a guy I was kind of well known around the area, and I played with a lot of guys that are also from that area, and so they kind of know what I can do. But having to go out there and prove to the rest of the coaching staff that didn't know much about me, you kind of just gotta wait sometimes and just wait for that opportunity to arise, and just having that opportunity to get that chance. I think that was just the biggest thing. So I think just being patient for my opportunity, and making the most of it when it came. I think that was what I learned for sure.
Your decision to enter the portal and then come to Fresno State, how did that come to fruition?
For me, it was I just my senior year wanted to come back a little closer to home, and I know my parents for sure missed me, and missed a lot of family events, and being close with family, and that's something that I couldn't pass up for sure. Um, and so just being able to have the opportunity to come back home, I think is huge for me. I know my family's super excited, and my friends are super excited, and yeah, I can't wait.
And then Jaden, I know I talked to you about this previously, but coaching change at UNLV, um, you know, something out of your control. But as you mentioned earlier, you know, Fresno State was maybe at the back of your mind already. Um, did how long after the coaching change at UNLV did you say, "Hey, I want to make this change"?
Yeah, so I mean, they told us that, or our head coach told us that he retired, so I gave it a couple days, 2, 3 days, just to see if they would hand it over to our assistant coach, and so they told him no. So then at this point, we're all kind of waiting to see what's gonna happen, what's going on, and they didn't like announce the new head coach for another week or two. So we were kind of just I jumped in the portal because we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was happening. They weren't really informing us on much. So then I jumped in the portal and a couple schools called me in Fresno State being where I'm from in Fresno, and from there kind of like I said earlier, it was just went on the visit and it just felt nice to be back home.
Plenty of the Red Wave know who you two are, watching you in high school baseball. But for those that don't know, what are you excited to bring to the Red Wave and bring to Fresno State?
And just bring back that Fresno State baseball has a past history of being really, really good, so being able to be a part of that, the tradition and just how the history of it, everything. I mean, I feel coming back home, especially being from Fresno, I feel like it's gonna be really cool to be a part of it, and hopefully we build it back up and have a really great year.
Did the legacy and guys that have made it to the next level, Murph Gray, Aiden Cremarosa, Jack Anchor, and Justin Stransky right now, I mean, just from last year's team, are all having success right now in the minor leagues. There's plenty of other guys, former Bulldogs, that have had success. Even Eshawn Henderson was the Cardinals' minor league pitcher of
Yep.
the year last year. Does any of that play into the role, or was it simply you wanted to come back home?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that plays a big role, and I think it shows how great they are in developing guys and moving guys on to the next level. Even seeing guys that come into the program and not start their first year, but then eventually they become a huge role player. I think it's huge to see guys prosper in a program to where we have such a great history, and I mean, having a program to where you've won a national championship. There's not a lot of programs that have won one, and so I think just having that in your back pocket, I think that definitely is huge, and I think it's huge for the community to know that you got guys moving on the next level. Let's go see them in college. Before they get there, to say, hey, we watched this guy.
Have you picked out your walk-up song for next year yet?
Um, uh, I've looked around, but I think I'm gonna use the same one I did this year.
What was your
But
song?
"Love Tonight" by Shouse, little like a house music type of vibe.
What was your song in high school? I forgot what it was.
I used I
You
think I
you
used
had a few
different
different
one.
ones.
Yeah, I used different one each year. Some like sophomore year, I think I used 2 or 3.
Do you remember James Bell?
I
He
do.
might have been before you.
He was
Um,
before me.
yeah, I remember James, but he ended up going to Oregon. He had 3 walk-up songs, which, if you're in the pros, it's, fine, but it was like this guy won 3 walk-up songs for, high school baseball. He backed
Yeah,
it up with his play.
yeah, he did.
But if you're gonna have 3 walk-up songs, you better back it up.
Yeah.
Uh, JP, what do you have one in mind already?
Uh, you know, um, not as of right now. I know my dad's been, trying to get me to use a couple, use this song, kind of like hinting at it, things like that. But we still got some ways to go. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna use. Maybe I use an old one that I used before, or maybe I'll go with the new one. So, we'll see.
What I know you mentioned your mom's home cooked meal. Is there any other foods you've enjoyed having since you've come back home?
I mean, man, I just went to Doghouse for the first
Long
time.
way home from Kentucky. You had Doghouse?
Yeah, I had Doghouse for the first time. Uh, the day that I committed, I went to go have Doghouse. I think it just fits so right. I hadn't been to Doghouse since I got back, and so my parents like let's go to Doghouse, let's go do it. And so yeah, I got a tri-tip sandwich over there. Just it felt so much better biting into it now than it used to before. That's for sure.
You a bulldog were having Doghouse. It felt right.
Yeah, it felt great. It
What
felt
about
great to be in Doghouse.
what about you, Jaden?
Um, I mean, the home cooked meals are always nice, I'll tell you that. Being over there on your own, you actually gotta, which you know, it helped me. Being over there and you gotta provide for yourself. You gotta do everything for yourself. But I mean, I'll tell you what, coming back home and having home cooked meals ready for you, can't beat it.
Question for you, since you guys both, are sort of in the process or, just went through this. The transfer portal is something that really wasn't a thing, 15, 20 years ago. And now it's like, I don't know the exact numbers on it, but, every single team is having seemingly a quarter of their roster transfer out year after year. What was that process for you guys? And, was it easy, difficult? Not in terms of, where to go, but the process of moving transcripts, the move, the decision making. What was that like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for overall, I would say it's pretty easy. They make it relatively easy for you to like the whole process and everything. The hardest part is really just you got to have your ringer on because you never know. Like, coach can call you at any time. If a coach needs a transcript, you gotta go get your transcript. If a coach wants to call, you gotta call. So that was honestly, I mean, the process wasn't hard. It was just that was the hard part. Really, is you have to be ready to go at whatever time.
There's a lot of opposition to the portal, especially with guys that will like leave one school to another every year. As two guys that have been through it, what can you say is the good on it? From a student athlete's perspective.
I think personally, I think it just gives you an opportunity to, find somewhere um that kind of maybe might suit you a little bit more, someplace where you feel more comfortable, or even just give you an opportunity to come back home. See guys like Austin Young or even like Eddie Saldivar, having that opportunity to come back and play again at your home field. I mean, I think that's just like a huge opportunity, and I think you might see a lot more guys in the future, head back somewhere closer to home, especially getting into a later years of college.
Eddie's my all-time favorite bulldog. I loved watching him play.
Yeah. I love that dude.
If yeah, uh, yeah, never lose that guy's phone number. He's a great dude. Um, Jaden, I forgot what I was gonna ask. Um, does it feel like home now? You mentioned looking at the other side of the dugout. Now you're gonna be in the home dugout. Has it settled in for you yet that you're a bulldog?
Yes, I think I have. I've been going walking across the field to go get physicals and everything done, and just being there. I mean, I was in the away dugout not too long ago, and then now walking there, and you're in the dugout. You've seen the home locker room. It honestly, just being from here, it kind of felt like home from right as soon as I committed. So, kind of just knowing the area, knowing the people. Now you know all your teammates. Like, I also feel like you're transferring to a new school that's not home. You got to meet a whole new team. You got to meet a whole new coaching staff here. I mean, most of the guys. So for it's pretty much settled in, as in like this is home now. Like, I'm back home.
Well, before we go, just one last question for you. What's something unique about you that most people don't know? It could be anything. It doesn't even have to be baseball related.
Unique.
I stumped you.
Yeah, you did.
Come on, just give me a fun fact.
Love to golf. Say that.
Oh, that's a great one. That's a great one.
Do you have
Well,
a handicap?
I'm not that good to keep track, but go out there for fun.
Yeah. Fun fact for me. I'm originally from Kerman, which is not too far from here. So transferred out of Kerman, came to Clovis to play some baseball out here. But not a lot of people know I'm from Kerman. Meeting people that are from Kerman out here, like, oh my god, you're from Kerman? Yeah, I'm from Kerman. So
My
it's pretty.
sister-in-law's from Kerman.
Yes. See, there you go. Yes. Small world.
Yeah, it's a small town, but you know there's people out there.
Yeah, there sure is.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in Fresno, well, northeast Fresno, Clovis, really my entire life, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's all Fresno adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all one big happy valley. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining me today, and stay tuned for next week of All Things Considered. Have a great night.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having us.